Welcome back to Cosmic Confluence, dear listeners, the space where the spiritual and the human meet without pretending either one is easy. Today, we are talking about forgiveness, not the kind that sounds good on social media, not the kind that gets rubbed because someone tells you it is the healthy thing to do. Talking about forgiveness when there has been addiction, trauma, loss, grief, bodies that carry memory, nervous systems that did not feel safe for years. Forgiveness when there are miscarriages, infertility, divorce, and the quiet identity loss that comes with starting over after a life you thought was settled. Listeners, my guest today believes forgiveness is not about bypassing pain, but about giving the pain back while reclaiming your light. She is the founder of Angel Goddess Healing, author of No More Monsters Under the Bed, Shining Your Light on the Dark, and someone who has walked through addiction recovery, depression, anxiety, childhood sexual trauma, grief, and profound spiritual awakening. Her work centers on healing with love, while also being honest about the darkness that precedes it. So, listeners, we are not here to tie forgiveness up with a bow. We are here to ask harder questions, to challenge assumptions, and to explore what forgiveness really costs and what gives back. So, listeners, meet my lovely, incredible guest, Shannon Curtis. Shannon, welcome to Cosmic Confluence. I'm really, really honored you are here.
Thank you so much for having me here on your show.
Superb, superb. Shannon, you often say you have mastered the art of forgiveness, especially self forgiveness. When someone looks back at periods of addiction or survival behaviors, there's often shame, guilt, or the self judgment tied to choices made while in pain.
Self forgiveness for myself looked like wanting to understand my addiction, not just to judge it, but to be curious
Mhm.
about it and why I found myself being addicted to pain medicine. And once I went into the understanding of it, that I literally was trying to numb the pain of all the miscarriages and the grief, then I could take away the shame because I understood that it was literally preserving my life. It was something that was actually keeping me alive and in the daily activities without fully understanding the pain. So once I was able to create a safe space to let go of that pain and that shame and that anger, then my addiction just literally just fell apart, and it's been 9 years and I haven't had a craving, but it was truly in the understanding of what I was trying to numb.
Mhm. That is powerful. That is powerful. And thank you for sharing that. Because when what I hear you naming is that forgiveness was not a single decision, but more of it was repetitive, sometimes exhausting and sometimes uncomfortable because I believe like forgiving yourself, uh, like sitting with the grief of who you were trying to survive as. So it really matters a lot, Shannon.
It does. It really starts with having compassion for yourself. And I do a lot of inner child work with my clients. And what my understanding is when you go back to your childhood, there's programming that we are sometimes made to feel not worthy enough of being seen and heard, or our wounds. And so what happens is we start to carry those wounds on as our adulthood. And so we just start building and building on them. So I really try to wipe all that away and just go back to the innocence of my younger self. And I was 4 when I was sexually molested. And that really, really helped me go all the way back to that 4-year-old self of understanding that she was forever changed there. And so my whole life was trying to numb that pain. So, of course, having an addiction with pain pills felt very much like that would go with something trying to numb it. And so again, just going back to the self-love and compassion for yourself and understanding you're not bad. Those were just actions.
Absolutely. And Shannon, forgiving others, it's often framed as something we do for ourselves, but that framing can feel dismissive when real harm has occurred. How did you navigate forgiving people connected to your trauma without minimizing what they did or rushing yourself toward peace. A quick pause for you listening listeners. If this conversation is already giving you language for what you feel inside, or if you feel it's helping you see your patterns with a little less shame, hit follow. All right, back to it.
Yeah, I think people, when they hear forgiveness, the first word is okay. Letting go of that person that caused you harm, saying it's okay. And that's the exact opposite, the forgiveness method I created for my clients and walking them through and walking myself through it is first understanding it, but seeing that it was done for you, not to you. And so I truly feel like forgiveness is forgiving all that pain and that shame back to your perpetrator. And forgetting is literally forgetting your power back. And so in the moment that I gave all that shame that I had been carrying all my life to that perpetrator that hurt me when I was 4, that moment I gave that all back to him and remembered who I am, and I am pure and innocent and a child of God, then I was able to get all my power and strength back. And so that's the true meaning, in my opinion, is what forgiveness means. We just kind of have the concept wrong and a little bit backwards, thinking that it's saying it's okay. It's not okay what was done, but I can't change that. All I can change is try to change the narrative and see it for what it is. And it taught me so many lessons and made me who I am today.
Exactly. Exactly. I 100% agree with you. And I think what stands out here is that forgiveness did not mean reconciliation or, pretending that harm was smaller than it was. It was never. And I really appreciate that you're pointing to something important because forgiveness does not erase accountability, but it changes who carries the weight.
Yes, yes, it gives you your power back. When we hold on to that and we hold on to all that pain, that is literally having that person that hurt us still within our life every day and controlling us, that pain that they put on us. And that's what I've learned is that perpetrator was in pain. So he was just trying to pass it on to me. And so I carried that pain for a long, long time in my life. And what happens is I kept that pain within me. And a lot of times we either keep it within or we pass it on to the next person and we just repeat those behaviors that were done to us. And so I found that once you stop it and you say no more and you understand it and that you let go of that shame and that was that person's pain, not my pain, then that really helped me understand the concept of forgiveness.
Yeah. Miscarriages, infertility, divorce, all, carry a unique kind of grief. Not just loss of people, but loss of futures, imagine. Um, did you ever have to forgive life itself or your body for what it could not carry or sustain?
Absolutely, and that was with my journey of miscarriages. It all stemmed back to for my 4-year-old self and being sexual victim of molestation. And that was really hard for me and having all that. And I had a hysterectomy at 35. I've already gone through menopause. I've had all these things as a 43-year-old woman that my body kind of quote unquote betrayed me, but really it didn't. My body was trying to protect me from what happened to me. And so understanding that, but yes, I had to grieve that loss of the future of that potential, just like a divorce. You kind of grieve the concept of it, but you can move through it. And again, when I understood it was happened for me, and now I have a beautiful daughter and I call her my miracle baby. And I feel like I'm such a better parent because of what I went through. And so again, I see it for myself because I understood patience in it. I understood hope. I found that every time I got pregnant, I was going to treat it like the last time I was pregnant. And so it taught me to live in the moment and be present and not live in the past or run from fear of it happening again or now I'm engaged and getting married again and that fear. And I've just learned in my life, I choose love over fear. And fear is what's going to keep me in the past. Fear is what's going to keep me in the trauma. But love is literally what's going to set my soul free and allow me to experience the things that are right in front of me still in the present moment.
Yeah, yeah. And I think this is one of the hardest forms of forgiveness because um it is abstract. Like there is no clear villain, just disappointment, heartbreak, and unanswered questions. So Shannon, you speak about spiritual awakening as a turning point, and I really love that because, but spiritual language can sometimes be used to avoid feeling. So, how did you make sure spirituality did not become a way to bypass anger, grief, or fear?
I'm so glad you asked that because I do think in the spiritual community, spiritual bypassing does come up a lot. And I talk about it with my clients a lot, that it is so important to move through it because it is easy. I have the understanding now. So it's easy to say, oh, this just happened for me and that's it. And even though I have that, it is so important in the human experience. My understanding is I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. And part of the human experience is literally experiencing all the emotions, all of them, the happy and the sad, the hurt and the pain and the heartache, but also the love and the light, all of it. And so, what I've learned is it's just as important for me to experience that physical pain as it is for me to experience the physical kind of love. And so I find that not bypassing that and actually moving through it. And the forgiveness method walks people through that, but you have to, and that's in your sacral and your pleasure zone. You have to feel those things and know that you can move through them and you're strong enough to move through them. But again, it's with a step and you don't have to do it all at once because it can be very overwhelming. But I do think it is so important to you to feel those feelings. And there's been a lot of times in my life I have come in here and I've come in my meditation room and I've screamed and I have cried and I got it out. But what I found is I did it within the safe container so no one's hurt. Because if I don't do that, I'm going to go out and I'm going to spew my anger on other people. And so what I found is it's so important to honor that anger, but do it in a safe environment that no one gets hurt. And so I think that is such an important aspect, even being a spiritual being, of understanding the human experience.
And uh, you know, I agree with you because this honesty is important. Like, spiritual growth does not automatically equal emotional maturity, and because, like, using light language to avoid sitting in the dark. I mean, your awareness that healing require both grounding and um transcendence. I think that's the exact word. It gives like permission for a more aligned, more integrated path, like more positive path.
Mhm. It's what I call heaven on earth. That's what I truly feel like the true masters that have walked this earth have literally learned to embody that the heaven on earth and how heaven on earth looks for me is even in my pain. I know there's beauty in it. I know there's a lesson in it. I know there's a remembrance in it. And so I'm not going to fight those human lessons. I'm actually going to embrace them. And when fear comes up in me, that means I need to walk closer to that because that is something that's going to propel me. That darkness is about to propel me into the light. And so, like you said, it's that balance of not getting lost in heaven and the woo and all that. I'm a human. I have to experience this as well. So, being a medium and working with, loved ones on the other side, I can get lost in all of that love and light, but I need to bring it back down and I have to be a human and I have to live and do these earthly things. And so, I feel like the true mastery is learning how to embody heaven while on earth.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a bit of a nuanced, here. Like, I just want to introduce attention here, Shana, because some therapists and trauma survivors argue that forgiveness is not necessary for healing, and it can even be harmful if pushed too early. Like, it can either be weak or it can completely discount the entire ordeal out there. Uh, do you believe, Shannon, that forgiveness is always required, or can healing exist without it?
My personal opinion and my personal experience has been forgiveness is a huge part of it. But just because I forgive somebody, I still have to walk through the steps. That's the other thing, but those are my personal steps. So I can walk up to someone hurts me or doesn't open the door or says something mean to me, and I can say, I forgive you. and continue on, but I can also experience that pain on my own and be like, ouch, that kind of hurt, and walk myself through these steps of knowing that and what it really was. And it's like, thank you for giving me that opportunity to see I don't want to be like that. And I'm a huge believer in gratitude of finding the good in it. So for me, I do believe that I have built my life's work on the forgiveness method of understanding. Again, we just have the name wrong. We don't understand what forgiveness is. And I do feel like it's important because I have to give that pain back to that perpetrator. And sometimes it's myself, meaning if I have to give myself, I have to let go of that shame I was holding on to and find my innocence and go back to my purity. And then I can get my power back. So I do in my life's work and with all my clients, I feel like we all have something to forgive. But again, just because you say it, it doesn't mean it's instantly gonna fix. That's the other thing. We want these instant things. We're living in this culture where everything happens. You have a click and you have an internet and you click on something. That's not what forgiveness is. For me, it's steps through the actual process and not bypassing all the emotions that come with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, I really understand there. And, I appreciate, because how, excuse me. I mean, this is something that, people like, uh, I mean, I do not want to generalize anything, but what I have observed or what I believe that, uh, it is not a moral requirement. And what you are saying reframes forgiveness as an invitation, not an obligation. You have to do it, you need to do it, you got to do it. And this distinction, it removes pressure, it restores agency. And I think that is essential for trauma recovery.
I love that because I tell people that I forgive because it is the most selfish thing I can do for myself. Because when you truly forgive someone and you get your power back, it is amazing and you will understand it on a different level. But so many people think they have to forgive because they've been told that or the Bible tells you so. And I tell people I do it because it is the most selfish thing I can do for me. It feels amazing to me to say, here's your stuff back, and I'm going to get my power back. And so I do, again, think it's the way you have to reframe what we think forgiveness is really about. And at the end of the day, forgiveness is not about who hurt you, it's about yourself.
Totally, totally. Um, and before we wrap up, Shannon, sometimes people adopt forgiveness as an identity, the healer or the evolved one, um, the light bringer. So, is there a risk that forgiveness can become performative or a way to avoid setting boundaries?
I for myself, no, because for myself, when I forgive someone, I'm not saying what you did is okay, and I'm okay with it. I'm just saying, in my little boundary, that's not allowed. I'm giving it back to you, and I'm getting my power back. And so again, I do it as a way of protection of saying that's not allowed. I don't like that behavior, but we have it different. We think it's saying okay. So no, I think that it creates that what you're not okay with, what you're not allowed with. So saying yes, I forgive you and you don't own any more space, but I'm not saying you're welcome into my space. That's the other thing. I get to choose that. And I also get to choose how close I let you in my space. That's the other thing. That is that control, that power that we have. And so if someone hurts me, again, it might be something that I disagree with and I never want to see that person again, like my person who molested me. There's other people that maybe they did stuff that are loved ones and maybe they just lied, maybe they lost themselves. I forgive them, but I get to decide where and when, how close they are to me.
Yep. Mm, mm. I think this level of self-awareness is I believe it's rare and it's needed. It's definitely needed.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And that is why this forgiveness method was born, was literally to reteach people how to do this. And so I truly feel like we can all start with this. We can really make some big changes on this planet by just starting with forgiveness of self and then moving to others.
Shannon, before we wrap up, if listeners they would like to further connect with you, if they have their own thoughts or opinions after this conversation and they would like to share with you, what would be the easiest way to connect?
The easiest way to go on my website, it's www.angelgoddesshealing.com, and they can go on there and book a free consultation, or they can schedule a full-on session, and they can learn a little bit about me. And I have a book, and I have workshops and things like that, so they can get to know me there. And again, if it's not me, I always say I have other people on my team. I work with a lot of vets. My fiance, he's a vet, and so I promise you, if someone needs help, I will get you in contact with the right person, whether it's me or somebody else.
That's amazing. Listeners, there you go. I'll have all the details in the show notes. So reach out to Shannon and refer the show notes along with this episode. And I believe the idea that forgiveness is not about erasing pain, but about returning it to where it belongs so we can reclaim ourselves. To anyone listening who is somewhere in the middle of this process, unsure, resistant, or tired, you're not behind. Healing does not demand speed, it asks for honesty. And Shannon, thank you once again for sharing your story with so much depth and responsibility. And I really appreciate your work through Angel Goddess Healing. And thank you so much for your insights.
Thank you so much for having me today.
And to all of our listeners, if this conversation stirs something in you, sit with it, journal it, let it move at its own pace. Until next time, this is Cosmic Confluence, where we remember that being human and being spiritual are not opposites, they are partners. Until next time, this is your host, Sana, signing off. Thank you.